fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am so excited for this video because I'm going to be doing a full review, eye swatches and hand swatches of the Peaches and Cream pigments that I personally own. I have absolutely fallen in love with these over the last few months as I've been testing them out. I think they're probably one of my favorite purchases that I made this year thus far. And I was just so excited to do this video because whenever I was looking into these pigments and deciding to buy them and what colors I wanted and everything like that, I felt like they had a ton of content on their Instagram, but as far as like most brands that you find, I just felt like their YouTube presence was definitely lacking, and that just made me excited to get to share these with y'all. In case you already aren't familiar with them, or you are kind of familiar but you're kind of like, I don't really know how to feel, like, are they as good as everyone says they are? So I believe Peaches and Cream is an independently owned brand. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that they are, and they are UK based, so if you go on their website, everything will be in pounds. So shipping for me was £9.50, which I would say is probably around like $13. I feel like that's a pretty normal price for international shipping. Definitely not the lowest, but definitely not the highest either. So whenever I made my initial order, I made sure, like, at first I was kind of like, should I only buy like 1 or 2 pigments? But I decided to go ahead and get all 7 that I wanted because I was like, if I'm gonna pay $12 for shipping, I may as well get all the pigments that truly catch my eye. I actually do have 8 pigments to talk about because I mentioned Peaches and Cream in one of my indie makeup releases, and I talked about their pigment drops, which I'll just pull out to show you. They look like this, which I'm going to be reviewing today as well, and they thanked me for mentioning them in my video and asked me if they could send them to me, so I said sure, I'd be willing to try them, no probs. Technically the pigment drops and the pigment Moonlight were PR, but I paid for everything else myself just to be fully transparent. I purchased this order on March 1st and I received it on March 9th. So I feel like that was a really quick shipping time. I did have a small experience with customer service I just wanted to bring to your attention because it was a little bit disappointing. So I'll talk about one of these pigments really quick. I'll talk about the only pigment I really genuinely just don't care about. Not that it's even bad, it's just that I didn't want this. So this is the shade Out of This World. It's like a neon pink. It actually like matches my nails perfectly, and it is a matte shade. I don't want matte pigments, like, I'm not about it. Here's the story. On their Instagram, they have tons and tons of swatches. You can go through and you can see swatches after swatches after swatches of all their pigments, and that's how I chose the pigments. I went through and did it based on swatches because when you go on their website, they have different bundle deals where you go through and you add the pigments in, and it does not show you the color of the pigment, so you just have to go by the name. So I went off of this picture, which I'll go ahead and leave on screen, and you can see the shade all the way to the right is called Out of This World. And it's like this beautiful lavendery purple shade with like blue reflex. I thought it was stunning. That's the shade I thought I was getting. And I ended up getting this shade, which I believe they have labeled as Current Mood here. So the shade I really wanted was Current Mood. And this was directly from like their Instagram stories. It wasn't somebody else. Like, this was their own swatches that they messed up. It wasn't like a huge deal that I got the wrong shade. I feel like part of it was me. Maybe I should have gone through their website and made sure that this was the right color, but I just went on the bundle deal and purchased Out of This World because I thought it was that really beautiful purple. But like I said, this was directly from them, so it was content that they provided. So I went ahead and emailed them, and I was super respectful. I'm always super respectful when I email customer service. It doesn't even happen that often. I normally try to make my order work. Even if something's broken, I'll try and repress it or whatever. But I wanted to let them know that they had like the wrong content out there. And also it was just disappointing. So I said, hey, I got the wrong shade. You have these swatches on your Instagram. It's labeled wrong. It's directly like it's your swatches, your video. And I said it was just really disappointing because, like, I paid for international shipping, so to not get the product that I thought I was getting was disappointing. I was hoping that they would at least say, like, we're so sorry, we will fix that on our Instagram for further, like, people or any type of thing. Like, they didn't have to offer to replace it or send me something. I just wanted them to at least acknowledge it because they still have this video up on their Instagram and it's still wrong. Like, it's still mislabeled. And they never ever replied. So I feel like that's kind of crappy customer service to not even reply, to just completely ignore the email. When especially it's not like I was not rude in any way. I was super respectful. So that's my like one gripe, is that they just didn't reply to the email. I feel like that's not hard at all to do. So the thing is too, I DM'd them first on Instagram and they said, please email us, but then they never replied to the email. All right, so I did want to quickly, before I jump into the pigments, I just wanted to mention the prices so that you are aware. I actually got a bundle of 7 pigments. It was called the Pigment Collector Starter Bundle, and it cost £40. They have a bunch of different bundle options. They have some which are like their regular pigments, so they're way less expensive, and then if you add in like the super like reflective, like the Mermaze, and like their really well-known pigments, then it's normally a more high-priced bundle. They also have different bundles where you can throw in brushes or like eye primers. They have a glitter primer, which I don't personally own, but I would love to try eventually. So there's all different bundle options. I feel like they even have like a bundle that has like 50 pigments in it, or you can buy them individually, and I believe that they are like ranging between like £6 and £7 each. So now jumping into the shades, I wanted to talk about this one next. This is the shade Watermelon, and this is the only shade that I have that I feel like is like a true like pigmented shade, like something with like a base color to it, because you'll see all the other shades that I have are like some sort of white with a duochrome reflect in them, because I'm obsessed with using these on my inner corner. So I did want to grab one like just like a lid shade just to test it out, just to see, and this one looked really beautiful. It's kind of like a pinky blue reflect. I don't know if I already told you, but it's called Watermelon. And it's super beautiful, but I wouldn't say this is my favorite. I feel like it leaves a little something to be desired. I just feel like I have products that are pressed down that'll give me the same effect all over the lid that this would, without the mess, and it's just like a little bit easier. I personally prefer pressed down products. Like, I don't really have anything wrong with this. I think it does look really pretty on the lid. It has a really beautiful reflect. This doesn't really have a ton of glitter in it. It's just a beautiful color, but I feel like if it was between this and like something like Luxie Tesla, which is a similar like pinky blue reflect, I would be more likely to grab Luxie Tesla. Or if it was between this and Divina, their new like Marshmallow Pillow shade, which is a pink blue reflect, I'd be more likely to go to Divina, and it's a similar price point. Star of the show for me is the inner corner shades, which I'm not going to go through them one by one because I'm going to do the eye swatches and you'll be able to see them all on the eye and see all the reflects. So I feel like all of these relatively look like almost the same shade in the little jars, but these are so beautiful. If I could only recommend one shade to you, it would probably be Mermaze. This is like a beautiful bluey, purpley, greeny, just it is so beautiful on the inner corner, or you could use it over other things and it just gives like the reflect in this just, I'm speechless. I don't even have words to describe how beautiful Mermaze is. That's definitely my favorite shade of the bunch. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to go through all of them one by one because you can see them, but I will just say that these are my absolute favorite. So the way that I use these is I'll just go ahead and I'll take a little bit of my NYX glitter primer. I'll just pop it onto the inner corner and then I'll open up the cap. I'll normally like take the same brush that I use for the glitter primer, just swirl it around in like the like cap area where there's not too much glitter. I'll tap it off and then I'll just pop it on. Today on my inner corner I have Mermaze and Prin mixed together, which is like a really beautiful mixture, and they're super easy to mix and just like throw together. And these are like what I highly recommend if you are someone like me who loves beautiful glittery duochrome inner corners. I think you'll definitely love these. Actually, I just can't help it. I'm also going to go ahead and recommend Fantasy because it is the most beautiful purple reflect. I also really love Pixie. Where are you, Pixie? Pixie is this shade right here, which is like a pinky reflect. So I think Pixie, Fantasy, and Mermaze would definitely be my top. I haven't even used these without a glitter primer. Like, I'm not even gonna go there. Like, I'm just not about it. I've also seen people use these as highlighters, which I'm sure they would be beautiful for, but I just don't like the idea of that mess. And I also just love them so much. I don't want to use so much product all over my face when I just love them so much on the inner corner. I've also seen people mix these pigments into clear lip gloss, and that looks really beautiful as well if that's something that you're interested in and you're like a little scientist when you're doing your makeup. I'm not. I always try to keep them in the little box that came with that 7 pigment bundle, which I think is actually super cute. It's a nice little idea. Alright, so now I want to go ahead and quickly review the pigment drops just in case you are curious about these. I was excited about the idea of these. I thought it sounded cool, but I'm not sure if I'm actually in love with the product. I don't think that the product is bad. I think it's me. Like, my makeup style and this product don't mesh. You have to like have the perfect amount of drops in whatever pigment part that you're mixing to have like that perfect consistency. And I feel like I end up using like way more pigment when I'm mixing it with the drops than I would if I was just using a glitter primer. You do get a different kind of finish. It's more of like a glossy, wet looking finish, and it is beautiful, but I wouldn't personally recommend these for a pigment like this. If it's something that doesn't really have a base to it, it doesn't really do that much for it. If I mix this in with the watermelon shade, it looks beautiful. It does so much more. I could definitely see myself using this more in the future with other pigments that I have that are opaque, but most of my Peaches pigments are duochromes. I just feel like you have to be really careful about how much drops you do, and you end up using a lot of product, and it's just a little bit more messy. It takes a little bit more time than using a glitter primer, so I wouldn't say this is my favorite thing. I think that the packaging on this is absolutely adorable, and I think if you like to do wet pigments, then maybe this will work for you and you'll enjoy it. I don't think it's a bad product by any means, so I feel like it just depends on your personal preference. And also, like I said, I wouldn't use them for sheer pigments, only opaque ones. Alright, so before we jump into all the swatches, I just wanted to quickly walk you through how I did them. So I wanted you to be able to see how the pigments work with both of these different little priming methods. So I went ahead and on the eye that I did first, I believe it was this eye, I started off and did the glitter primer. The other eye, I would use this in the cap and mix it with some product. Actually, I would say if you mix it on the back of your hand, I totally forgot to mention this before, this, like, it'll be so difficult to blend together, and it'll dry so fast. So I definitely recommend having a mixing palette or mixing it in the little pigment jar. Like, I went through so much product before I realized I can't mix this on the back of my hand. But anyways, I went ahead and did that on this eye, and I would mix the pigment and the liquid together, and then I just go ahead and put it all over the eye. You'll see, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I just went ahead and used flat brushes like this to pack all over the lid. I also did not use any eye primer or anything like that. I didn't use any eyeshadows first. I just wanted you to be able to see the colors. Now let's go ahead and jump on into the eye swatches, and I'll do the hand swatches at the same time. Alright, so I hope that was helpful for y'all. If you have any questions at all for me, please feel free to leave them down below. Like I said, overall, I really do love all the duochrome pigments. I think that they are absolutely stunning, and I'm just really happy with them. I feel like they're very unique to my collection, and I feel like there's a lot of glittery pigments and stuff out there, but the amount of shades that they have and different duochromes specifically, that just looks so beautiful on the inner corner. You guys know, I have a whole, like, if you are an inner corner loving person as well, I do have a full video. Maybe I'll go ahead and link it down below of all my inner corner favorites. I did that video before I owned these, because if I had owned them, I would have included them for sure, because they are beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.